What's up, guys? We're back here with another episode. We decided, so Melissa and I have kind of been talking, we decided we're going to start doing some like how-to videos and do just a bunch of like different stuff that you could do how-tos about. I mean, anything from gear to breaking down a lake to patterns, just all sorts of goodies. So this is gonna be our first video we're going to try here, and we're just going to keep it really simple to kind of start, but this can be a really important thing to be able to use and do, especially if you're a bass fisherman. So today we are going to talk about the wonderful, maybe, Senko. Okay, so we're going to talk about Senkos today. We're going to go through how to rig them, how to fish them, and these are honestly one of Melissa and I's favorite summertime baits to use, as crazy as it sounds. It's really simple. A lot of people use them, but it is one of our favorites to use. It always seems to get you bites, and we're going to go through kind of all the techniques. So what we're going to do, really there's two main ways to rig a Senko. There's a Texas rig style, and then there's a Wacky rig style, and we're going to cover both of those. I'm gonna actually grab a camera here, and I'm gonna have Melissa start and talk about the Wacky rig here. So she's gonna break down how to rig it up and how to use it, and we're out here at the lake, so we're gonna try to catch a fish on both of them for you here today and just kind of show you how they work. So I'm gonna grab the camera and we're gonna get going.
Okay guys, I am going to be showing you the Wacky rig, and Tyler is going to be showing you the Texas rig, as he said before. So what you're going to need for a basic start is a spinning rod. I'm using a 7-foot medium. It is an Garcia Veritas, and then I have a Duckett Paradigm spinning reel on. So obviously you don't have to use an expensive combo like this. This is a $200 combo right here. You can definitely use something cheaper. Last year I used an Okuma. It was, I think, a $50 combo, and it worked fine. Caught plenty of fish on it. So to start, you're going to want to use, this is the hook that is the typical Wacky hook right here. This, I believe, is a 2-aught Wacky hook. It's a troker. And a lot of times you can use either these Wacky hooks, or you can use a wide gap. Wide gaps are my go-to actually, but since I'm specifically doing a Wacky rig today, I'm going to use a Wacky hook. But you can use a wide gap because that way it's easy versatility. You can use a Wacky rig, or you can Texas rig it too on the same hook. So it just makes it easy because you don't have to retie a hook onto your line every time you want to switch between a Texas rig and a Wacky. And obviously when you're fishing like an area that we're in right now, there's tons of weeds and lily pads around. But anyways, so then on the top here I have a split shot sinker, and I really just have a small one on, and so it's really serving no purpose for what I'm about to rig up. But I just want to show you, say if you were using a Z-Man that doesn't have, or it has a high buoyancy and it doesn't sink as fast, or it doesn't sink at all, you're going to want to use a little bigger of a split shot than this, but you're going to want it, say 4, 5, 6 inches above the line, above your hook, just so that sinker hits the water and falls down, and it'll pull that Senko after it. So today what I'm going to be using, since I have a small sinker on, is I'm going to be using a Yamasenko, a 5-inch Yamasenko in the color Goby. And what you're really going to just do is you're going to take it on the hook. So here's the hook. And a lot of these worms have a smooth patch about 1/3 to half of the way down the worm. And you're just going to kind of hook it right through there. And you want to get it right through the dead center of the worm itself. So you're just going to do that and poke it straight through. And it's going to be sitting on the hook like this. So it's, as you can see, it's not exactly half, and it just gives it a little bit off balance, so then when you're working it through the water, it kind of has a little more action to it. So now that we're all tied up here, we're going to start some fishing. You want to let about 6 inches above the sinker, just to, before you cast, just to get a little more whip on it. Stop that really. So you're just going to let it sink. You're going to let it bop it a couple times, reel down. I like keeping slack on it just because then you can feel when every little nibble is coming at you or when you're bumping weeds. Because a lot of people use slack, and I just think that when you're using slack, you can't feel exactly what's happening on the end of your line until you're reeling down. So you just do a little like 1, 2, 3. Next one you can do 1, 2. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just kind of change it up every time you reel down. Once you get to the side of the boat or out of that range where you want to be casting into, you can reel it up again. The thing with wacky rigs is a lot of time they're going to hit it off a reaction strike, and sometimes they'll chase it. So you really just want to get it to where you want to work it, and then once you get it out of that zone, you can reel it in. It's kind of just like top water in that sense, where you just get it out of your zone, and then reel it in. Once you get a feel after you get a couple bites, or even if you don't catch any fish but you're getting some bumps on fish, you can kind of see what they're looking for as far as speed. Obviously the colder the water is, you're going to want to go a little bit slower, and then when it's warmer you can work it a little faster. But until you find that kind of temperature, or if you know for sure what kind of, oh, I just had something chase it off. That was crazy. I don't know if that almost looked like a pike, and just pay attention to kind of the slack in your line, making sure that you're not working it against the wind, you're working it with the wind kind of, just so when you actually do have to do a hook set, you don't have to reel down a ton of slack and pull that worm out of its mouth. So I'm just going to work this. I might work this back all the way to the boat, since I just had a fish following it all the way back to the boat. It's kind of a quicker finesse trick, just because you're working it the whole time and you're not really letting it sink all the way down to the bottom and bouncing it. So you can kind of work it as fast as you really want to go.
Alright guys, so after Melissa's great demonstration there of the wacky rig, we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about the other way that you can fish Senkos. This is my favorite way. Melissa's really good at fishing the wacky rigs, but this is my favorite way, is Texas rigs. And just so you know, with the Texas rig, this doesn't just apply to Senkos, which we'll touch on that probably in a different video here, but you can fish almost any type of plastic that they make, Texas rigged. But we're going to touch on Senkos today, which, as far as my Senkos go, these aren't exactly a Senko. These are Daiwa's 4-inch Neko worms that they make. It's really close to a Senko, and everything you're going to see is going to be the exact same way you would rig up a Senko, but these are one of my favorites to use for a Texas rig that looks like a worm. But this is what you're looking at right here. And like I said, this is one of my favorites for the Texas rig. But like I said, any type of regular Senko that you want to use, like a 5-inch Yamamoto or whatever you want to use, this all works for that, the exact same. So as far as gear, Melissa kind of showed you what she's using. I'm pretty much using the exact same thing. We actually have the exact same reel, and I'm using a 7-foot medium spinning rod for this. You guys can use your bait casters. It really depends a lot with the Texas rig what you're fishing in. If you're fishing in light cover, I like using the spinning reel because it's sensitive and stuff like that. But if you're fishing in heavy cover, like you're throwing into lily pads or something like that, then you're going to probably want a bait caster with a 30-pound braid on it or something like that. But for this, I'm just keeping it really simple. Like Melissa was saying, you do not need to have, this is also like a $200 combo here. You don't need that. You could use a $50 combo, $40 combo, whatever. You don't need something special for this, to be honest with you. So as far as hook, I'm using a 1/0 VMC Wide Gap. That's the hook I'm using. It's very simple. Melissa likes using 2/0, you can do that, but I like using 1/0, a little bit smaller. You can really use whatever size you want, but I like either a 1/0 or 2/0 because that fits things the best, I think. If you're using a bigger, like a longer worm or something, you might have to up your size a little bit, but again, that's a different video. So now we gotta tie our, let me let a little line out here. I'm gonna show you how to rig this. A lot of people think this is very difficult, but it's really not at all. All you have to do is you're going to take the head of your worm, okay, and I'm using this worm so you can see what the head is. So this is the head here. You just slide it right through the top of the hook. You're going to put the head of the worm right through the point of the hook, okay, and you're going to let it go in there until it naturally wants to start curving up the hook, and then you're going to let the point of the hook come out the other side, okay. slide that up over the offset. That's why we use these wide gap offset hooks, because they're going to have the little offset here at the top. You slide it over the top of that, okay, and then you're going to let the hook come out the other side. So now we're here, okay, so I have the head of this up on that, up on the offset part of it, okay, and then the last part's really simple. All you got to do is you put the shank of the hook here, right, give yourself a little bit of slack, put it right into that, the middle of your Senko there, and then it's just gonna pop out the other side. Hopefully you can barely see that there maybe. It's just coming out the other side there, and then you're gonna leave it like that. So what's gonna happen is this is definitely a weedless presentation, but when a fish bites it, it's gonna bite down, and then the point of your hook is going to come up. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but the point of the hook's going to come up, and then the fish, that'll go into the fish's mouth, and then you should be good to go. But the best part about this is it's pretty much 100% weedless. You're not going to, I mean, you might get down in the weeds a little bit just because of the hook, but it's not going to snag on a whole bunch of stuff, and you can throw it in a pretty good cover. So now into the fishing part of this. I like throwing this around things where there's cover, you know, anywhere I can find that, you know, I might not be able to get some other type of bait in. It works great for that. And I'm using this weightless because I'm throwing it really shallow, and I like throwing it shallow for the most part. Great spot right here, for example, is this little tree overhang we have, okay? There could be definitely fish sitting under that. It's a nice, hot, sunny day here in the summer. Good chance there could be fish sitting under that. I like throwing this bait in there because it's easy to get back in there, and if there is weeds and stuff underneath that tree, this is going to go right through it. So, like I said, nice and simple here. You're going to cast it in there. Let me get turned around. Sorry, I'm going to be talking away from you. Okay, cast it in there. Once you get in there, you got to let it sink for a little bit, especially if you're not using weight. And then I like fishing mine really slow, and you're going to go up and down with the rod, okay? So I'm going up, 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 and I already got a fish biting it. You can see my line's going straight. I think it's just a little bluegill or something. But yeah, you're just kind of popping it along, letting it sit for a minute, popping it, letting it sit, popping it, letting it sit. And then you're just going to kind of do that. It is a slow way of fishing, that is for sure, but like I said, I already had a bite on that cast, and a lot of your bites will come sometimes right when you cast. Sometimes you don't even have to work the worm, just on that initial fall is when you're going to get your bites. I'm going to reel this in here. I don't, unlike the Wacky rig, Melissa was talking about how she likes working all the way to the boat. This one's so slow that I normally, if I get out of that area where I think the fish are going to be at, I'm not gonna let it sit in there. So we're going to cast it in there again. Probably going to get those little nibbles again from the bluegill or whatever's back there. But it's just like this, and you can feel the bites. Yep, see, one's got it, but he's putting it down. You can feel everything that's going on down there. Like I said, I just had one pick it up and put it down, but again, I'm almost certain it's bluegill hitting it. It's not a bass. Normally when you have bass hit these, it'll be a strong take, and it'll swim away with it, and you'll know it's on there, which hopefully we'll get a fish on this at some point for you today. Rolling?
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're hooked up here. Not a very big one at all. Is this even a bass or is it? Oh yeah. No. What? No.
It's a rock
bass. All right. Catch a lot of these guys doing this too. This is actually a really nice rock bass. But pretty much what I did on that cast, which I don't think Melissa quite got it because it got us by surprise. But nice little guy there. We're gonna release him. I pretty much just casted right up in those lily pads up there. I don't know if you want to pan over there. Let me try one more cast over there while we got the camera rolling, see if I can get one more fish for you. But I pretty much just casted right up in those lily pads. It's just like I was saying a minute ago, throwing into those cover areas, especially on these like summer days where it's sunny, a lot of times produces bites. So I know I'm way back in those lilies, but I can slowly work that thing through there. And there was fish sitting right in there. At least stay on so I can see you. There's no way.
Video's recording. Height?
No, it's like a nice bass. It's like probably a 4-pounder. Well, maybe not 4, but probably close to 3, I bet.
Small, no, large though. Small. Is it?
No, it's a large one. Alright, well, I guess that concludes on how to catch a fish on a Texas rig. So real quick, what kind of happened there is, I don't even know, we've been struggling on this lake, but I casted that one like way up into those lily pads up there again because you're using a Texas rig. And this baby was sitting in there. It's not actually that big. I thought it was bigger than what it was, but it's probably because I just caught a whole bunch of bluegill yesterday, but it's probably, I don't even know if it's 2 pounds to be honest, but nice little guy. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it, really. It's great for throwing in cover, like I said, and it worked. 191.